Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Now, on our very own subreddit r/Mark Narrations, there was a user on there who was called Only for This One Story who said, "Hi Mark. This story I think you'll find interesting, updated 2 years later. I'd love to hear your opinion on this." So thank you so much for sharing the update of this story with us. It originally came from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Throwaway Dusty 6283. And remember, the first part of this came 2 years ago. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole? Mum said I'm useless, so I stopped helping. I read it. I, female 20, live at home with my single mother and 5 siblings while I finish university. I call them A, male 23, B, male 22, C, male 17, D, female 15, and E, male 12. Almost every day I wash the dishes, load and unload the dishwasher, vacuum the common areas, drive my younger siblings to and back from school, and cook dinner while also attending university. I get no help from my mum or siblings, nor do I get any appreciation for what I do around the house. Last week on Wednesday I came home late, around 9 p.m, from uni, as I was talking to my teacher after the lecture. My class ended at around 7:30 p.m. Once I got home, my mum started yelling at me because I wasn't able to cook dinner. There was dirty dishes in the sink, and my brother A had to pick up my younger siblings from school. I was upset by this, but she then said, "You are useless, you don't help out at all." And I got pissed and I replied back, "Sorry for being useless," and went to my room. The following day, I didn't drop my siblings off to school, which forced my mum to have to do it. I didn't make dinner either, and I stayed at uni up until they closed the library at 9 p.m. I continued to do this, and the house is now a mess, and my younger siblings have missed a few days of school. My mum and my other siblings are angry at me. I'm just wondering, am I the arsehole? I feel like I'm not, but hearing it from my siblings and mum every day is getting to me. Edit. I had to leave some stuff out due to the character limits. Apologies for weird formatting on mobile. My family is from a foreign background, so my mum's beliefs are very old-fashioned. I live in Australia and in a location close to the city, so houses are quite expensive here. Rent is due fortnightly, so I wouldn't be able to afford moving out. I don't have a job, but due to a small allowance I get from the government for studies, I contribute $150 a week towards household expenses. I didn't include every single chore I do, but laundry is one chore everyone does themselves because they all wash their own clothes. Female 15 helps male 12 out with this. I wipe down counters and clean the kitchen after cooking dinner. I clean the bathroom sporadically. My brothers literally pee on the floor and don't wipe it up. I encourage my little siblings to clean their room, but ultimately I end up tidying it. My older brothers are both employed but don't help around the house at all. They play video games when they're not working. My mother does not help me with my school fees. I've taken out student loans to pay for it. I am burning up for OP on this. Your mum, absolutely not the arsehole. Your mum is in the finding out phase of fucking around. She just called you useless while you're literally running the entire household, cooking, cleaning, school runs, all while you're at uni. And it proved the point. Literally, when you stopped helping, the house immediately fell apart. Kids missing school, everything went to chaos. And that's not because you're useless, that's because you're the only one holding it together. Absolute audacity to call you useless. Pissed me off. And it sounds like you're in a bit of a tricky situation because, you still got to live in this house, but absolutely stand your ground. But you need to start planning the exit at the same time because, let's face it, this dynamic won't change. Because reading between the lines and those old-fashioned beliefs, it usually means the daughters are going to be doing everything while the sons are going to be doing nothing. And it just twigged in my head that the update's going to come 2 years later, so I am really hoping. But before we do that, we'll cover a couple of comments from this post. Seb Screen says, "Not the arsehole. Your mother has failed you in every way. How about she actually parent her children? At least 4 of your siblings are also capable of doing household chores, but they prefer to take advantage of you. Don't back down from this. It isn't your responsibility. Another commenter says, not the arsehole. I went through something similar except I wasn't going to take it. I have divorced parents and one older brother who lives at father's house. I go between. My dad would do stuff, yes, but anything he didn't do, I did. My dad's reasoning behind only asking me to do things was A, you do it properly / your brother doesn't know how, and / or B, he works full time. Which, keep in mind, he may work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, but I was at school 9 till 3:30, had a part-time job, was on a dance competition team, and had to do homework. Just hoping you find something to relate to in my story. You're not the arsehole. Some parents just take advantage of the child who is willing to do the work. OP responded saying, I do relate to your story. My mother just had the belief that girls had to do everything around the house and men do nothing. I've tried to talk to her about the situation before in the past, but she won't see reason. Bluebird says, not the arsehole. And what? Because you're female, you have to do everything because your older brothers don't have boobs, telling them how to be useful. Tell the rest of them to get off their butts and hopefully they don't expect the 15-year-old to do it because she's the next one with boobs. Insanely sexist, and your mum needs to make everyone pull their own weight. Everyone is old enough to help. Opie said, my mum unfortunately lives by the sexist ways of girls do everything while men don't do anything. I've tried talking to her about the situation before, but she shut it down, saying she provides a roof over my head. And one more commenter from Nemesis who says, I'm so glad that people are starting to widely recognize that parentification is a form of abuse. It is absolutely fine for a parent to give their child a couple of chores to encourage responsibility and prepare them for life on their own. My 6-year-old helps me unload the dishwasher and tidies her own room. But those chores should not proportionally exceed the chores the parent themselves does, or prevent the child from doing fun activities, having a social life, or succeeding at school or work. It is also not fine to impose such varied standards and expectations on your children compared to their siblings. OP, you're not the arsehole. They used your considerate nature against you and verbally abused you when you tried to engage in an activity that anyone in your peer group should have been free to do. The only thing I think you could have done differently was call or text that you'll be later than usual, so they didn't worry and could make other plans. Now that you've refused to be parentified anymore, just be on the lookout for your siblings. Make sure your mum doesn't start piling everything onto one of them instead. She might try and pick a new victim. It is not your job to parent them, but it is your job to stop them from being bullied or abused. So here we go. OP came in 2 years later to give an update. They said, hi again Reddit. I posted about 2 years ago and wanted to update you all. Link can be found here, and shares the link. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. The kindness and viewpoints from strangers on the internet helped me more than I ever expected. After I stopped helping out with the house, I reached out to my university's student support services for advice. They helped me get a part-time job at the student help desk, which gave me a bit of financial breathing room. Around the same time, I broke up with my boyfriend. Meanwhile, my older brothers, now 25 and 24, continued to do nothing to help. I went back to driving my younger siblings, now 17 female and 14 male, to school. Not because I gave in, but because I genuinely care about their futures. The breaking point came when my mum tried to get my aunt, her younger sister, involved by painting me as a disrespectful daughter. I didn't know how my aunt would react since they've always been close, but I ended up telling my aunt the truth. To my surprise, she was horrified. She opened up about how she and my mum were treated pretty much the same way by my grandparents, and when they moved to Australia together, they talked about not raising their kids that way. My aunt offered to take me and my 2 younger siblings in as she has no kids. Now I live with my aunt. It's an hour drive to uni, but the peace is worth it. One of the best things I've done for myself is start therapy. It's expensive, so I can only afford a session once a month, but it's already doing wonders. As for my little siblings, they're doing better. They keep their rooms tidy, they help with cooking, and they're both incredibly respectful to our aunt. My brother isn't relying on my sister anymore, and my sister is finally starting to stand up for herself. I've been reminding her not to let anyone, especially our mum, push her around the way I was. My siblings moved school to one that's within walking distance, and they haven't missed any days. Recently, my brother, then 17, now 19, reached out to me and apologized for everything. He said he knew it was wrong how I was being treated, but at the time, it didn't affect him, so he didn't think about it too much. We had a proper conversation over the phone, and things seemed to be okay between us. He told me he was planning on moving out to live with a friend since our mother had started lashing out at him and forcing him to do the house chores I used to do. As for me, I graduated uni. My aunt and younger siblings came to my ceremony. I didn't bother messaging my mum to let her know. I've already been accepted into a graduate RN, is that registered nurse program at the hospital where I did my last placement. I'm super excited to start and finally get my life on track. For once, I feel like my life is actually moving in a direction I chose. Oh, bloody hell, OP. Got those onion ninjas around here again? I am absolutely buzzing for OP and the growth that they've clearly had in these last 2 years. The aunt coming in with an MVP moment, right? And the fact that she recognized the cycle of treatment that she and your mum had endured as well. And then watched your mum repeat it even after they said, that they're going to break this off, that it's not going to happen with their kids. Not just trying to fix it with words, but actually offering you and your younger siblings an actual home. That's breaking that generational trauma right there. It did leave me wondering what the mum's thoughts are on all this. Is it giving her any pause for thought whatsoever? Or is she just going to continue down this path? Which is incredibly sad. But let's not take away from OP, because what she's done is amazing. The degree, registered nurse program, just living in a healthy situation now. It sounds like her younger siblings are being protected, and it sounds like they're thriving in some ways too. OP's getting therapy, and the best word I saw in that update was peace. Just a massive, huge congratulations on everything that you've accomplished. I think it's just wonderful for OP, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from freudsdriver from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. The post was put on the 26th of December 2025, so the day after Christmas. It was titled, Am I the Arsehole for making my daughter's boyfriend buy a new t-shirt? Okay, can you settle a mild dispute for my family? The 23rd of December, my daughter's 19, boyfriend 19 came for dinner. We had a dinner then because he's going away with his family for Christmas. He arrived, rang the bell, and I answered the door. He came in, took off his jacket, and that's when I saw it. He was wearing a t-shirt that said, "It's not gonna suck itself." Oh, for fuck's sake. I took one look at that shirt and asked him if he had any money. He said no and asked why. I told him that the shirt showed a marked lack of respect for both my daughter and my wife. I pulled 2 20s out of my wallet and quietly ushered him back out the door and towards the Walmart 3 miles away, and told him to buy a more respectful shirt and come back with it on. Mind you, this whole exchange took place between him and I, without an audience. He was gone for 15 minutes, came back with a nice polo shirt on. We had a nice dinner together, and nothing was mentioned of incident. The next day, my daughter came to me and her mother and told us what I did. Humiliated him. They aren't in a breakup territory or anything, and no yelling or anything of the sort went on. My wife did tell me I could have handled it differently. So Reddit, am I wrong for handling it this way? And if so, how could I have handled it? Edit, I'm 57 and a long-haul truck driver, so I've had my share of bad moments. Most of us guys here can remember stupid things we did as a teen, even in our 20s. The ones that stand out for me are the ones where someone didn't react with anger or malice. They were the ones that someone reacted with constructive kindness. One where a quiet redemption was offered, where a mirror was quietly held up to my behavior. Those are the ones I learned from and appreciated the most. Hopefully he comes out the other side with a new appreciation for kindness offered quietly and without fanfare. Just my thoughts. I was just thinking through this. I mean, what made him think? He probably wasn't thinking at all, is he? He didn't think about, I'm going to be walking into my girlfriend's family home, meet her mum at the dinner table, and my shirt is literally a blowjob joke. I mean, fuck's sake. I just want to know the thought process behind that, to be quite honest. I'd want to ask him, why? But I think the dad's approach to this was actually brilliant. Like he said, for me, is incredibly rude, and I wouldn't know what to say, to be quite honest, but the dad addressed the disrespect immediately, and he did it privately as well to give him a chance to actually fix himself, and then moved on without making it a big scene. Didn't lecture him, didn't humiliate him in my opinion, and even gave him money to fix it. But a commenter says to OP, not the arsehole. I think you handled it well. He was an idiot to think that shirt would go over well with his girlfriend's family, and is lucky you didn't give him more grief for it. Another commenter says, not the arsehole. He humiliated himself. He chose to buy that shirt, then to wear it. What a boneheaded thing to wear to his partner's parents' home. He got off extremely lightly. You handled it very gracefully. Is your daughter a bit less than sharp? That she cannot see the inappropriateness in this situation. Opie says, I think she's just trying to defend him, honestly. Commenter says, why on earth would your wife be against this? Opie says she just hated the idea of him being put on the spot. I did point out that I could have done it in front of everyone. A downvoted commenter says, if my husband did that, it would be a fight when I found out. That he paid for the new shirt and allowed the boy into my home. That boy should have been banned until he learned some damn respect on his own. What you taught him is he just profits from his terrible behaviors. Opie replies saying, what I wanted to teach him is that there doesn't have to be a loud emotional outburst. That some lessons are loud in the message of learning and forgiveness. He's 19 and he does treat my daughter well, so I can forgive him some stupidity. Commenter says, question, what else was on the shirt? Still in bad taste, but was there a graphic printed on it? Say a lollipop or something like that? Opie says, an arrow, pointing down. Commenter says, not the arsehole. I would love to know how your wife would like you to have handled it. I can't imagine anything better than the way you handled it. Kudos to you for a gentle response and showing him how to respect ladies regardless of age. Also giving him a chance to save face and show some dignity at a family holiday gathering. Opie says, actually, my wife is reading these comments as they come in and has wholeheartedly changed her opinion. Lol, our daughter is a very introverted young lady and wears her feelings on her sleeve. This is her first relationship and my wife is very protective of her feelings, as am I. My wife kind of smothered her growing up because we almost lost her the summer before kindergarten. Since then, she's had related health issues. However, my wife realizes that it was inappropriate and has admitted that she can't think of a better way of handling it. Commenter says, sorry you had to deal with almost losing her young. I definitely understand, as I almost lost my youngest at age 6 with lifelong issues since. If she is introverted, I wonder if you as parents have explained the nuances of that shirt and others like it. Sometimes we as parents assume that they understand, but they actually don't. Not knocking your parenting skills at all, just sometimes we assume life has taught them more than we should. Yeah, I know, kids talk etc. at school. I just had to explain some things to my 22-year-old that I figured she knew just by going to school. Opie said she's in her second year of university with a GPA of 3.95, so she's intellectually brilliant. But more than a few times she's missed social nuances. We tried to be patient. Someone says, how long has Opie's daughter been dating her boyfriend? Opie says, actually they've been together for 4 months, and he's been otherwise very respectful. He calls me Mr. X, not my first name, and my wife as well. This is the reason I went out of my way not to shame him or alienate him. Now, Opie made a series of small updates within the same post. The first one came in the next day and said, after reading these comments and listening to everyone's point of view, I sat my daughter down this morning and asked what her boyfriend actually said to her. This changes my opinion of him. Apparently, he had not told my daughter what the phrase was on the shirt, but did tell her accurately what I said to him and asked him to do. He didn't use the word humiliated. That was daughter's interpretation. Her rush to defend him came from our examples. Apparently, she took note of times I've defended my wife and vice versa. She also took note of our disagreements in private, after the fact. She is going to talk to him when he gets back tomorrow, to follow up on why he thought the shirt was appropriate for the family setting. I'll update again after that conversation. The same day, hours later, Opie comes in with another update and says, my daughter called him about an hour ago, and this will be informative. She asked him why he had not told her what the shirt said when he talked to her. His reply was telling, because it was embarrassing. Then she went on to ask him why he wore it originally, and he admitted that the shirt had been a gift from his older brother, 21, and the older brother had dared him to, called him a chicken when he objected, etc. Dumb sibling crap apparently. She went on to tell him that none of what he'd done was cool, and that she really liked him, and that he'd always been kind to her. She said she wasn't breaking up with him, but that these steps needed to be done first. He needed to explain to his parents the entire situation. Second, he needed to show up in person to our home and bring the money for the shirt, and as she put it, put in a whole ass-kissing session that included the explanation of the dare, etc. She said that if this was handled well, they could talk about moving forward and what that looked like. After the phone call, she talked to her mum and I, and admitted that she forgot her worth. She said that I, as long as she'd been alive, had never gone out of my way to embarrass her mum, and that I'd always been respectful and not let anyone be disrespectful to her mum made me feel good. So she wasn't going to settle for less. Good for her. I'll update after his visit later tomorrow afternoon. Opie also shared a piece of advice he received from his father when it comes to treating and respecting the ladies in their lives, and says, I have 6 sisters, and the biggest and most memorable piece of advice he gave all of them was, watch how any potential male treats his mother, because he will never treat her better in the long run. That has served them well, because they've all been married for 20 plus years. The next day, Opie updates again and says this will make those of you following this saga laugh. I received a call this evening from Mr. Boyfriend's parents. Firstly, they are mortified and extremely apologetic. Secondly, and the whole best part of this update, I have their permission to squeal, is that his parents are on Reddit and commented on my post in support of the way I handled the situation. They told me that they loved my daughter and that we'd raised her right, and had not raised their son to show this level of disrespect for anyone, let alone his girlfriend. Apparently, Boyfriend was following up on one of my daughter's conditions and went to talk to his parents. As the story unfolded, his mum reached for her phone, opened Reddit and yelled, "Is this about fucking you?" To quote his dad, as the son read the first and second paragraph, he died a little inside. So anyways, they're going to come to dinner tomorrow evening with Boyfriend. More updates tomorrow night. And the final update which said, dinner was very pleasant. Let me say that his parents are great. Boyfriend showed up with red roses for my daughter and yellow roses for my wife. He offered what I thought was a very sincere apology and a card with the entire $40 in it, even though he'd given me the change and receipt on the original night. I cooked tonight to give my wife a break. I made an Indian dish called butter chicken with basmati rice. Neither had eaten curry before but loved it. Woohoo! As it turns out, older brother is the family athlete. JV soccer, V soccer, and a sports scholarship for soccer. The quintessential jock. Little brother is the exact opposite. Artistic, he's got real talent, sensitive, quiet, and felt like he never measured up to his big brother, and works to gain big brother's respect. Brother takes full example of this and exploits his little brother for shits and giggles. Near the end of dinner, daughter says, I think I'll keep him around for a little longer. You guys okay with that? We're all good with that for now. His mum is the boss though, for thinking outside the box. As a punishment to older brother, mum went into his clothing, drawers and closet, took every shirt off of him and bought him 8 very bright pink t-shirts that he'll wear until he realizes just how damaging exploiting anyone is. His access to cash is also cut off until said lesson is learned. Anyway, a successful night with new friends was enjoyed. Hope this was the update you hoped. I think that went better than I thought it was going to go from the very start of this post. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's have one more story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. No update as yet, but from No Database 10 who says, Am I the Arsehole for refusing to share my lottery winnings with my family, even though I use the family numbers? I, 22 male, recently won a decent amount of money in the lottery. Not a massive jackpot, but enough to be life-changing for me. Pay off debts, buy a small apartment, and invest a bit. Now for the context. In my family, there's been an informal tradition for years. On my grandma's birthday, someone usually plays lottery numbers based on important family dates, birthdays, anniversaries, etc. Sometimes we play together, sometimes everyone plays on their own. There has never been an explicit agreement that if someone wins, the money gets shared. It was always treated as a fun tradition. This time I played alone, with my own money, but I used those dates to be specific: grandma's birthday day, month and year, my dad's birthday day, and the day and month I graduated. I won. When I told my family at first, it was all celebration. Then the comments started. These are family numbers. Without the tradition, you wouldn't have won. It would only be fair to share, even just a little. Some relatives are genuinely struggling financially. unemployment, debt. Others aren't. I told him I'm not going to split the prize because I paid for the ticket myself. There was never any agreement to share winnings. If I had lost, like I did many times before, no one would have reimbursed me. Money changes dynamics, and I don't want to become the family ATM. Not that I want enough to be called an ATM, but you get it. That said, I did offer to help in specific situations, like helping with a small debt once or twice, but not to divide the prize. This was seen as arrogant and selfish. One aunt even said, I got rich off of the family. Now, part of my family isn't speaking to me, and they're treating me like I betrayed everyone. My parents are split. They say I'm technically right, but that sharing would avoid conflict. Am I the arsehole for not sharing the winnings, even though I use numbers tied to my family? Edit, why did I tell them in the first place? I didn't see winning as creating any obligation to split the money, so it honestly didn't occur to me that telling them would be an issue. I told them out of transparency, not to tease or mislead anyone. At the time, I genuinely expected them to be happy that the tradition worked for once, not to see it as something I owed them. I would have told them regardless, even if the numbers had been completely random. Now, after this whole thing and reading some of the comments, I'm not so sure I would. I can imagine the majority of the comments on the back of this one is just going to be telling OP, you shouldn't have told them about the winnings. I'm trying to picture myself like receiving like a message or a WhatsApp or group chat from like a family member who says, oh, you know, I've just won the lottery. And I can't imagine not being happy for them. So to see these people immediately turn to like, it would only be fair to share even just a little, to type it out, to speak it or whatever. I find that wild. But also on the back of, you know, you shouldn't have told them to begin with, but also at the same time, I don't think you should have offering to help in specific situations, like helping with a small debt once or twice. I kind of just feel like that opens up the door for one or multiple family members to go out and buy something on a credit card or something along those lines and say, oh look, I'm in debt. I just bought a new washing machine because my family needed it. Can you pay that off? Because if they have the entitlement to try and claim your winnings by saying these are family numbers, the bar is really low. And the first commenter says, you are foolish to tell people you won. What you should have done is waited a few months and then said you used the numbers for that particular week by picking random numbers. But hindsight is a great thing. The fact that these people are not pleased for you and instead demanding a share means not only are they greedy, but they are not putting you or your future first. Not the arsehole. We all walk our own path in life. There was nothing stopping them from doing the numbers. Another commenter says there ain't no such thing as family numbers, but fine. If you concede to the point that you used 4 family numbers, then split with them whatever 4/6 gets you. A quick search of one lottery says that would get them $30 to split. The real money comes from 2 personal numbers, and I have no doubt that if you used all your own numbers, they would still want some. And this bit get a little bit dark, but one of the commenters below said, look up lottery winners killed for their winnings, and then pointed out it's always family or friends who have done it. That person gave like 4 examples, and it's absolutely wild. Mysterious says, not the arsehole. A good financial advisor will tell you not to gift, but if you do wish to help family in some way, you can set up a trust. Set up who's a beneficiary and the terms it can be withdrawn from, like medical, educational, emergencies. Hire a trustee who gets paid by the trust, so it's not biased. They'd have to make a formal request for help. That's what a relative did in my family who had money once he passed. He didn't want anyone to be greedy. Change your phone number, deactivate social media, and hire a financial advisor. If family come hound you in person, send a cease and desist, then get a protective order if they don't leave you alone. Once things settle down, give your new number to family that respected your boundaries if you want. A commenter on the back of that one said, that's pretty scorched earth. Magnet said, say goodbye to the family. A friend who won the Euro lottery, his family wouldn't stop. Anytime an appliance, car, loan, rent, etc., they'd hit him up. We felt bad he'd won. And one more comment who says, everyone sucks here. What did you expect to happen when you told them? Now you probably wouldn't have a normal relationship with your family for a long time or ever. Kind of a self-inflicted wound. And that last comment was quite well upvoted, and I just found it a bit strange, to be quite honest. I was just like, what did you expect to happen? And to be happy for him. I would, like, if I was in that situation, I certainly wouldn't be like, right, come on in, split the funds. Like, no, that's not what I would do. Maybe that's just a bit naive of me, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the story, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah,